Hey, what's going on, guys? Okay, another Las Vegas video coming at you today. This video I wanted to do for a long time, but it just kept getting pushed to the back burner. But it was suggested by a viewer of my videos by the name of PA Slot Player. So thank you very much for the suggestion. I'm glad I'm going to be able to tackle this head on. So I kind of got everything here written down, and going to see if I can try and tackle this. So as you can see from the title of the video, guys, when and when not to leave a tip in Las Vegas, and how much do you tip? So guys, that's going to depend on a lot of things. One, obviously, on the service you're getting. Was it good service? Was it an excellent service? Was it terrible? And of course, your budget. Different people have different budgets and can tip a little more than others, and some people just don't have big amounts of money to leave a tip. But just know that in Las Vegas, every little bit counts. And even if you can only give small amounts, trust me, these people can stretch those amounts and can make the most of them. In many cases, their tips are part of their salary, or at least they count them as part of their salary, and it definitely helps them a lot. I'm going to give you some examples of places you can tip and places where you don't need to tip, okay? And I'll try to give you an idea of how much you should tip, and I'll also give you the amounts that I tip when I'm on my ventures in Las Vegas. So as soon as you land in Las Vegas, you're either going to get a limo to your hotel or you're going to get a taxi. Guys, if you're going to get a limo, minimum tip $20. Okay, I know it sounds like a lot, but if you can't afford $20, you really don't have any business in being in a limo, do you? So try to make sure that, if you're going to be getting one of these extravagant vehicles, tip 20 bucks. Maybe even a little more, just depending on how great the service is. A lot of limo drivers try to give you almost like a guided tour on your way to the hotel. So, if they go the extra mile to keep you happy, go ahead and give a little more. But keep in mind that the bare minimum you should tip a limo driver is $20. Now, the other side of that argument, not that other side of the argument, but the other side of that story would be a taxi driver. A lot of people use taxi drivers. And here is where the tips can vary depending on the service. I'm going to say the minimum you should tip a taxi driver is $5. However, what's he like? What's this taxi driver like, him or her? Do you know Vegas well? I know Vegas pretty well now, and I know when a taxi driver is trying to screw me over. There was one time where a taxi driver wanted to take me the long route. Like he was telling me all these streets he wanted to go on, and I just said, no, go down this way and get it over with, okay? And that taxi driver never got a tip from me. I'll explain in detail what happened. We were up on Fremont Street, and when I flagged him down, I said, I want to go to the Cosmopolitan, but I want to stay on the Strip. I don't want to go all the way over to the freeway and do a bunch of circles to get to the hotel. He said, well, the Strip could be busy. It'd be a lot faster to take the freeway. And I said, it might be faster, but it's going to cost me a lot more in the end. And trust me, guy, I'll just tip you more in the end. He got so upset with me, he wouldn't even talk English to me after that. Not one word in English. He actually got out his phone in the middle of him driving on a busy strip and started talking to this guy in some language. And I didn't understand the language, but I could understand the body language. He was definitely talking about me, and he wasn't saying anything good. So when we got to the Cosmo, I counted right down to the penny. No tip, no nothing. You are working in a service industry. If I'm paying you money, I'm the boss. I'm giving you your paycheck. I'm the boss. So you do what I say you do, unless that harms you in some way. And there was no harm in taking the Strip from Fremont to the Cosmo. And to be honest, it really wasn't all that busy. I mean, it was busy enough where, you stop at stoplights and cars start to gather and whatnot. Certainly being on a cell phone, even in that amount of traffic, was certainly dangerous. So, yeah. Just know that if your taxi driver is trying to screw you, don't leave a tip. They'll learn from that, trust me. So, now if your taxi driver takes you to a direct route, like, let's say, for example, the Cosmopolitan. When you're at the airport and you get a taxi, you're going to leave the airport, get right on East Harmon right away. Get on East Harmon, and that'll take you right to the Cosmo. It's really that simple. If you notice your taxi driver is taking you down by Mandalay Bay, going up that way, don't tip him. Sometimes they'll ask you, do you want to go this way? You want to go that way? They'll mention a whole bunch of ways. And then if you don't know what you're talking about, you'll just say, oh, just go the best way. That best way will be in his best interest and not yours. So just keep that in mind. You might want to take a look at Google Maps and map out from the airport to your hotel to find out what the cheapest or the shortest route is, and go from there. Tell him that's the way you want to go, him or her. Now, if you happen to have a vehicle in Las Vegas and you want to use the valet parking, I would suggest at least a $2 tip for that, maybe a little more, depending on how hot it is outside. Sometimes you get 120-degree weather there, and I mean, these valet people, they have to go get your vehicle, bring it to you, blah blah blah. $2, maybe $5. Just remember now that Las Vegas is now charging for parking, so factor that into your budget and your tip as well. For me, I never used valet parking because I don't bring a vehicle to Vegas, but I talk to people. I know exactly what they're tipping and who they're tipping, so just keep that in mind. The bellboys, or the bellmen, if you will, these are the people, whenever you come to your hotel, they'll ask you if you want help with your bags. So if you were like us, we had roughly a bag, or the ladies had 2 bags on our last trip. So if you do it that way, it's 4, 5, 6, that's 7 or 8 bags. It's quite difficult to take up amidst all the chaos of checking into your room. And if you're going to get a bellman to help you, try to tip $2 per bag. I tipped $20 to the bellman when he took our baggage up to the room, and he seemed to be pretty happy with that. So that seems more than adequate, but the general rule is $2 a bag. Now, I should mention the limo driver earlier. I didn't say what I tipped him. When we got our limo to the airport, it was comped. It was on the house, courtesy of the Cosmopolitan. I tipped the driver $30. Again, I would suggest a minimum of $20. I tipped $30. He's a great guy. His name is Matthew. He works for the Cosmopolitan, and he doesn't mind. His job is to take, the higher tiered players to the airport on the house. Very nice guy, Matthew. If you're watching this, the $30 was well earned. Taxi drivers, like I said, I'll tip depending on the service, just like anything else. I usually leave a tip of around $7 to $10, just like I said, depending on how nice these people are. When we landed in Vegas on our last trip, we met he was a really fun guy, really nice guy, little camera shy. I got him on camera and everything, but he was talking it up. He seemed to be interested in Canada, where we're from. Struck up a really good conversation. I tipped him $20. That's over the top for a taxi, I understand. However, if you can afford it and you are really happy with the service, there's really no shame in it, and you'll walk away feeling like a better person knowing you helped them out that much. Maids, this is one that I've gotten in arguments with people over this one before. I want you guys to kind of understand something. House cleaning, the maids, these women, sometimes guys, they work their asses off cleaning some of the most disgusting messes on the planet. Oh, I know, trust me. I can't speak for other hotels in Las Vegas. I can speak for the Cosmopolitan when I say that whenever you're in your room, there's a little card there, and it says, "Hi, I am your house cleaner. My name is," and their printed name is there. If you need anything, please call us. Towels, whatever. It's an envelope, so you could actually leave a tip in there. The minimum amount that people usually tip is $5. I think that's crazy. I think that's ludicrous. Some people, I even heard, leave change, 75 cents, $1.50. It's just change in their pocket. A lot of people make the argument that these housekeeping cleaners, maids, if you will, are fully insured, benefits, and a great hourly pay. That is not the case. That is dependent on the property. So if you're working at the Cosmo, yes, they are getting benefits. It's not the benefits you think they are. They are not getting paid a great hourly wage. You're talking $1 or $2 above minimum wage. Again, because they count tips as part of their salary. Yes, they do get the benefits. I completely agree with that. That's great. If you're a maid working at the El Cortez, you are not getting benefits. You are getting a shit minimum wage base salary, and they got to deal with a lot of disgusting stuff. You got to stop and ask yourself if you would do half of the stuff they would do for the amount of money they make. I wrote down some examples here of stuff that they deal with. They wipe down the surfaces of the furniture. They change your sheets on the bed. They clean the windows and the drapes. They check all the lights in the room. It's stuff that you really don't think of. They check the lights in the room. If one's burnt, they're going to replace that bulb just to make sure that your stay is more convenient. They empty the garbage cans. They clean the toilets, the bathroom sinks, the shower, the tub. They clean the mirror down. Any toiletries that are in your room, shampoo, soap, mouthwash, toothpaste, all that's going to get replaced. They clean the bathroom floor and they vacuum the floor. Now, it could get even worse sometimes. If you get real partiers in there, there's beer spilt, booze spilt, there's puke all over the bathroom floor, feces, urine, semen, bodily fluids. Guys, it gets nasty for these people. $5? No. This is what I did every night when we got our room cleaned. And I'm going to show you a picture here as proof in case you think I'm shitting you. I bought 7 bottles of Canadian maple syrup to bring down there. It's a Canadian-made maple syrup. You know, being from Canada, we're known for having the best maple syrup in the world. And I would put a little bottle of maple syrup. I'd leave a little note saying that, "Hi, I'm from Canada. We appreciate the hard work you're doing. You rock. Here's some Canadian maple syrup." And I also left a $20 bill in the envelope. And as you can see here in the picture, the $20 kind of peeking out there, and I got the maple syrup. And this Daria woman, she was so, I seen her the next day. She was almost crying. She's like, "I never had somebody do that before." And I was like, wow, I can't believe people don't give you, you know, the credit that you deserve, because, you know, her job is completely, I don't want to say disgusting, but not a lot of people would do that kind of work. So it's well deserved. And if you can afford it, do it. But don't leave 50 cents. Don't leave 75 cents. That is an insult in my opinion. They're the hardest of the workers that I've seen in Las Vegas. They just, oh, when we went in our room every afternoon, it was clean. Like, I wouldn't hesitate to eat off the floor. They do a fantastic job, so kudos to them. Now, another one. Waitresses, when they bring you free drinks. The general rule of thumb is $1 a drink. I agree with that. I don't tip $1 a drink. I tend to tip $2 to $3 a drink, depending on how good I feel, if I'm up, if I'm down. But I never, ever tip less than $2 a drink. I usually don't tip any more than $3 either. If I'm getting a specialty drink, like let's say, like the Cosmopolitan has house drinks, you know, drinks that are made specifically for the Cosmo. These drinks could be like 20 bucks. If you get a cocktail waitress coming your way, asking if you want a cocktail, and you order a $20 drink that's going to be on the house, tip her 5 to 10 bucks, okay? Because you're getting it for half price, even a little more if you're only tipping 5. So you could tip a little more than the $2 or $1 a drink that the general rule seems to be. So just keep that in mind as well. Other things in Vegas, like maitre d's and stuff like that, even like showgirls, like if you're going to be getting like escort services and stuff like that, I don't really know what you should tip. Like I've never dealt with that. And every time I seem to bring up the subject of prostitution in Vegas, it was kind of frowned upon. And I have asked. I've asked some people high up in the casinos how that's like. How does that work? I was so curious, I almost called a number on one of those cards, have the girl come to the room, pay her, and then send her home right away, just to see what kind of girl you're gonna get, and maybe ask her a few questions about, you know, her profession. We all know it's prostitution disguised as an escort service or a massage service. I suppose, again there, if the service is great, go ahead and tip. You know, those are just kind of normal things to do. If you get great service, give a great tip. And the same thing goes for at restaurants, especially if you're getting a comped meal. All of our meals were comped in Las Vegas at the Cosmopolitan. Our slot host is a sweetheart. And the meals that we were eating were not cheap meals. You gotta remember, there was me, my mother, my wife, and 2 children. And it was right around $150 for all 5 of us to eat at the Wicked Spoon. Leave a good tip. I was tipping 25 bucks. And even at 25 bucks, that's like what, 15%? And that's the minimum. You should always tip minimum 15% unless your service was terrible. Then you can leave less or not leave anything at all. Again, if someone's treating you bad, or if you feel like you've been ripped off or not serviced right, that is your right to not tip But if you're not going to tip, maybe it's a good idea to let them know why you're not tipping so they can correct that mistake going into the future. Some people have no idea what they're doing. Like, well, they know what they're doing, but they don't know that they're doing something that's upsetting you. You know, that's where job training comes in, and can make all the difference in the world. And if they are very remorseful in their mistake, maybe then you could leave a tip. You know, it's good to speak your mind. I'm a very upfront person. If something's bothering me, I tend to let people know what's bugging me. So just kind of keep that in mind. Another good place to tip in Las Vegas is any guides. If you're taking a Hoover Dam tour, if you're taking a Grand Canyon tour, Pawn Stars, like there's probably hundreds, maybe even 1,000 different guided tours in Las Vegas. Okay, you can find them everywhere. And if you're going to be getting a person who knows what they're talking about in the city, who knows the history, who might be a little funny, because I've noticed with guides that they kind of have comedic aspects to them. Like they make you laugh. They give you rich history of Las Vegas that you may not have known. I feel like I know a lot about Las Vegas because I've researched it, and I study it now. I watch documentaries, I research, but I also talk to people. These guides definitely know what they're talking about, at least the ones that we had. We went on 2 Hoover Dam tours, and 2 different companies, 2 different guides, yet both of them were extremely knowledgeable, very articulate, and also very funny. They knew how to make you laugh, but they didn't push the envelope, you know, like it wasn't a comedic show at that point. It was still, in the end, a very informative and educational tour. I like to tip them $20. The general rule for tipping them is the same as a taxi, right around $5. We tipped 20. We gotta remember there's 5 of us there, and it's less than $5 a person. But again, when we handed him the $20 bill, he was very, very happy. He was very thankful, and you could tell it made his day. Because you gotta remember, if everybody was to give $20 and you got a group of, let's say, 40 people, hey, he just scored that day with a pretty good tip amount. And again, most service industry based positions count their tips as part of their salary because their hourly wage really isn't the best. And shame on the casinos and all these places that make millions and millions of dollars and don't pay their staff adequate amounts. So that's pretty terrible. So now that we kind of got that out, I guess I could have said one more thing. Your slot host, your slot host. Do you tip your slot host? I'm gonna tell you something about slot hosts. They make an incredible salary every year. Just a huge amount of money, okay? They don't expect to get tipped at all. If you want to give them a gift, fine. Or if you're really up on your trip, go ahead and leave them a little something. But guys, casino hosts do not expect to be tipped. They really don't. Unless they work at lower end properties like the El Cortez or something like that, where they don't make so much. Again, if you're going to be down thousands of dollars on your trip, the last thing you want to do is tip a slot host, because the slot host's job is to keep you in the casino spending money. That's their job. Okay, their job is to make sure that you're taken care of. Yes, they want to watch your back, but in the end, their job is to keep you on the property spending as much money as possible. If my slot host is watching this, sorry, I don't mean to throw you under a bus. You are an amazing person, and I think of you more as a friend than I do as a slot host. And of course, we brought her a little bag of Canadian goodies, maple syrup and candies and all sorts of Canadian treats, and we gave that to her, and trust me, it was well deserved. But no, you don't have to tip your slot host, but if you want to tip them, go ahead. It's kind of that gray area, and it's the same thing with dealers. You could tip a dealer if you want, only if you're up. I played roulette, I played blackjack. If you're up big, let's say you start with 1,000, you end off with 3,000, you want to tip them 25, go ahead. If you're down hundreds or thousands of dollars, don't be tipping nobody, man. You took a loss. That's just the way it is. Again, tip based on your winning. If you win $100, maybe tip them 10. That's 10%. I mean, that's quite good. And again, the dealers don't get paid a great hourly wage, and they do appreciate the tokes. It's not really called a tip with a dealer, it's called a toke. So keep that in mind as well. Now guys, I'm going to give you some examples of where not to tip in Vegas, where it's okay to just, wave a friendly goodbye. If you want to rent a movie or something like that, you want to watch a flick, and you go to a video store or something like that, you don't gotta leave a tip there. And that goes with like general merchandise. You go to a store, buy a pack of gum, pack of cigarettes, some alcohol, go to Walmart and buy something. No, we know it's Las Vegas, but you don't leave a tip in those places. It's just not warranted, unless it is warranted. Maybe you ask for something and they say, oh, I think we might have some of those out in the back. And she's back there working her ass off for 5-10 minutes trying to find something and comes out with it. Slip a tip. I mean, it's not going to hurt at that point. And I've always said that if someone goes above and beyond to service you, fine. You know, you could be a better person and leave a tip. But no, just for walking in, buying a pack of cigarettes, something like that, no. We went to Hershey World, M&M World, and we bought our stuff there. We didn't leave any tips. It's completely fine. You might see a tip jar there. Throw your change in it. If you don't want change rattling around in your pocket, fine. There's no need for big tips in these places. And that includes like tour tickets that you buy at these little ticket kiosks, rides on roller coasters like the Adventure Dome, the New York roller coaster. Don't leave tips for that, guys. Their prices are huge to begin with. You don't need to empty your pockets even more in the form of a tip. Okay, so just keep that in mind too. Show tickets, like if you're buying tickets at a booth, yeah, I just said that, and a lot of people I've seen in Vegas were tipping, and I said, geez, the tickets are astronomical. It's not, absolutely not. Do not leave a tip at a ticket booth. Anywhere, just don't, okay? I've seen people do it. It wasn't very many people that were doing it, and the people that were tipping it, like I said, it was change, and it really won't amount to much. So, yeah, don't tip there. Another place I would not tip at is whenever you get a hand pay. So if you get a hand pay, yes, it's great, you're up. You want a big amount of money. You're gonna get this guy in a big security suit come over, take your ID, and it's gonna bring you back a tax form saying he's taking a portion. 30% of your win, 30% of your hand pay. If you win $1,200, do the math, you're gonna get like $890. So he's stealing money from you to begin with. Okay, well, he's not him, but the IRS. He's working on behalf of the IRS. He's the last person you need to be tipping. Don't leave a tip when you win a hand pay jackpot, okay? Maybe if you win $10,000, $15,000, and you're just happy and you're ecstatic, maybe, okay, tip him 10, 15 bucks. I don't know how that goes. I certainly wouldn't tip him even if I won that big amount because, again, you're getting 30% of my hand pay. You're definitely not getting a percentage of my wins after that. So no, guys, don't ever feel like you need to leave a tip for a hand pay jackpot. Another case where you wouldn't leave a tip, again, is if you're getting terrible service. So no matter what it is, if you happen to get a chambermaid, like a hotel cleaning service, and they're treating you with disrespect, don't leave a tip. If your girl serving you drinks comes over and says, she's giving you like a lot of attitude and being cranky, don't tip her. She's not going to come back, of course, but thankfully there's a lot more other women there who will greet you with a smile that you could tip. So anybody who's just treating you with disrespect or just servicing you very wrong and horrible, don't tip them. It's that simple. Don't bother. Trust me, you're making a statement. People who get tipped who act like that start to become entitled, okay? And this works in any aspect of life. People can get entitled by doing things either, how am I going to explain that? If they take shortcuts or if they do stuff not the right way, and you just don't want to enable them, because they're going to treat someone like that. They're going to treat more people like that, and the next thing you know, you got a whole bunch of people with a chip on their shoulder, okay? So don't enable that sort of behavior. Don't leave a tip. And like I said, speak your mind. Tell her, I'd give you $1 or $2 if you actually smiled and treated me with respect. She might walk away upset, but she now knows what she's doing wrong, and maybe she could work on that so the next person isn't so salty who has to deal with her, okay? Again, don't tip if your taxi driver takes you the long route, especially if you know Vegas. Like, if you're going from the airport to your hotel, if it's on the strip, there's really no need to jump on the highway and take you all around and circle around like this. He's just trying to get more money. Another thing that taxi drivers do that's shady as fuck, and I apologize for the language, is, and I didn't tip in this case too because I knew what he was doing. He was being greedy. He only turned the meter on halfway through the trip and he says, "Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot to turn the meter on, and it was bad acting. Oh, I'm so stupid. Please forgive me. You just pay me what you would normally pay on a trip from here to there. I didn't fall for it. That's a very greedy thing to do. So if he's asking me to pay the regular fare from Fremont to my hotel, which is roughly around 25 bucks, you know, with the tip, no, I'm sorry. It's so obvious what you're doing. So we got to the hotel. It was like $7. I gave him $10. That's all. Don't be greedy like that. Don't screw your company over. If his boss would caught him doing that, not me, he'd lose his job. He should be happy with the $3 tip. He's lucky somebody doesn't report him, because that is illegal. That's fraud, first of all. Okay, it's illegal. I have no patience and no respect for a criminal, and that's exactly what that is. And guys, you are going to experience that. It happened on our last trip. Turns the meter on halfway through the trip and says, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I forgot to turn the meter on. I'm so stupid. Just pay me what you normally pay." And when they say that, you know it's a scam. It's not just an honest mistake. You know, if they were to say, "Oh, I forgot to turn the meter on," then called his boss and said, "Hey, can we fix this up?" then it's different. But careful, that is a scam on you just as much as it is a scam on his company. And put it this way, if I'm a business owner, I put faith in my staff. If they were to rip me off like that, I would feel just absolutely horrible. Okay, so he's defrauding his boss, who's just there to make money, just like the rest of us trying to make a living, get by. Sorry, kind of went off on a tangent on that one. It's just upsetting when this stuff happens, and you just got to keep an eye for it. Another place you don't want to tip is in poker tournaments. Now, could be like slot tournaments, poker tournaments, any kind of tournaments that happen within a casino. Even if they're free, you're not obligated to tip. A lot of people say, well, in a poker tournament you can tip. I say yes, only if the casino doesn't withhold some of the winnings. So some casinos will host poker tournaments, but they will keep a percentage of the coin in. So whatever money's on the table, they'll take a portion of that. If the casino is going to do that, they should be obligated to give something to the dealer who's monitoring that tournament, or the dealers that are monitoring the tournament, and not rely on the people who've already paid their entry, okay? Even if you win, if the casino withholds money from that pot, you're not obligated, and don't feel bad about it either. The casino is making you feel bad about not tipping, but they don't feel bad about taking the percentage of that pot, okay? They're kind of like giving you the cold shoulder, and they're also giving their own employees the cold shoulder when they withhold some of that pot and don't share it with their own dealers. That is a sign of greed, and guys, don't fall for it. Please, you're not obligated to tip there. And it's like I said earlier with the dealers. If you're not winning big, don't tip. You're not obligated to tip. Many times I sat at the roulette wheel and bid up $1,000 and didn't tip. It's not, you can, like I said, if you're really, really up big. My wife plays roulette a lot, and she always tokes 25 bucks, win or lose. And I sat her down and I said, if you play the roulette wheel 10 times during your trip, do the math. Look how much money you're giving this dealer. I mean, it does not make any sense whatsoever. You're going to give a lot. I'm going to give like 250 bucks just in tokes to a dealer, win or lose. Don't feel bad about it either, guys, okay? It's just the way it is. So that was a pretty thorough list, at least I think. There might be other places in Las Vegas where you can tip, but I think for the most part, I've hit them all. That's pretty much the bank of people you're going to be dealing with, you know, limos, taxi drivers, waitresses, hotel staff, like the cleaning staff and all that. And I really hope that this video was able to help you guys in what to expect and what you should be giving as a tip, and where not you should be tipping. Because a lot of people don't play this game right, and they come back home with a huge void and a big deficit just in over tipping. And sometimes there's such thing as under tipping too, and you kind of feel bad about it. But again, it's all based on your budget, and sometimes very little goes a long way. Just know who deserves the tips, and don't be afraid to give a little more to the people who take extra care of you. So having said all that, guys, have a good one, and more videos coming up shortly. Lots of slot live plays and some hand pays. Have a good one.